We're here in Monte Carlo for the Rendezvous de Septembre. For AM Best TV, I'm Richard Banks. And I'm joined now by Dr. Luzi Hitz, who's the Chief Executive of Perils. Luzi, good to see you. You're a long-term Monte Carlo veteran. You always bring new insight down to the event. What have you got for us this year?
First of all, thank you for having me. What we have this year as the news for Monte Carlo is that we will announce another expansion of our coverage, of our exposure, market exposure, and event loss data, because up to now we were covering windstorm Europe as the main peril in Europe. And now, as of tomorrow, Monday, we will also be covering flood Europe. And that's a major development for us.
So does that development represent an analysis of the appetite for risks that you've seen amongst insurers and reinsurers?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's really based on feedback, and also given last year's event in Europe, in Central Europe, especially in Germany, it was quite obvious, that with the work we do, it's good to have this kind of reliable data sets, market data sets for windstorm. But obviously, flood is another major peril. It's by no means a secondary peril. It's really a major peril also for Europe.
So one of the things that we've already been hearing during the rendezvous this year is a sense of reinsurers perhaps rebalancing their portfolios. And one of the outcomes of that is perhaps a little bit less natural catastrophe exposure on their books, particularly in the US, but I guess elsewhere. Is that something that reflects what you're seeing?
Well, we're not really involved in the risk-taking business, but I've been involved in the reinsurance business now for close to 30 years. And what I sense, obviously the big topic is inflation. And inflation infects the general economy, but obviously also infects straightforward property cat, because if repair costs or repair material and labor costs go up 10, 20%, your event loss also goes up 10, 20%. And from that point of view, I think it is hugely challenging and exceptional renewal upcoming, which then also could mean that one or the other reinsurer really will try to rebalance their portfolio in order to cater for the inflationary pressures.
Inflation is clearly one of the topics that people are discussing here. It's been one that has come up in our briefings, as well as in a lot of the other material that we've been seeing. How does that play into your forecasts and your models?
Right. I mean, to be clear here, we are not a modeler. We are a data collector and data aggregator. And then based on the collected data from insurance companies, we come up then with an independent, objective market data set on an industry loss or on the industry exposure. And now if we talk about inflation, I mean, obviously inflationary effects will be included in the event loss information we collect from insurance companies. And in that sense, and also from the sums insured, which we collect from the insurance companies. And in that sense, the effects of inflation will be seen in our market industry exposure and loss numbers. Yeah, will be implicitly included.
Interesting. Yeah. So what sense do you get from the feedback that you're getting about the appetite for natural catastrophe insurance and reinsurance in Europe?
Yeah, I mean, we're not covering only Europe, we are also covering Australia. And I also would like to stress that in June this year, we could add Japan, wind and flood Japan exposure data, and then also event loss data going forward. So that's a major development for us. And I mean, when we were founded 13 years ago, we basically had two objectives, our organization. One was to provide reliable industry data for the benefit of better understanding of the risk, model calibration and validations and model building, etc. And the other goal we set ourselves is that we facilitate the industry loss-based risk transfer market. And in order that the industry loss risk transfer market works properly, what you need is to have a reliable reporting agency, which is independent and objective and trusted by the markets. And this works extremely well. And by adding now flood Europe, but also wind, flood Japan, there are now even more possibilities for the reinsurance industry and the insurance and the retrocession industry to hedge their exposures, to manage their exposures via industry loss-based risk transfer, using us as the reporting agency.
Marvelous.
Yeah.
Luzi, thank you very much indeed for joining us today.
Thank you, Richard.
For AM Best TV, I'm Richard Banks.